So Geelong, absolutely, well, clearly they're flying. But what you guys are seeing closer.
So last year and the years prior, they defended with the ball. So they hung onto the ball, chip, work the ball down the ground, give you time to set up behind the ball, and they were bulletproof behind the footy. But get to a final, you lose the handle for 5 minutes, and Richmond put 3 goals on them. And all of a sudden, defending with the ball, in my opinion, has never worked. Richmond did it in 2016, sacked it 2017.
So for the punter out there, defending with the ball,
taking time in possession, chipping the ball around, 140 marks a game.
How does that help you?
You can win one-off games.
So how does that help you defend? Because if you turn the ball over, it's either long down the line and it's harder to then transition through the numbers, or if it's short and you're making the opposition defend more and you're not allowing them to, I guess, attack because they don't have the footy in their hands.
The bulk of your scoring comes from turnover.
Yep.
So if you limit the amount of turnovers, clearly you limit scoring against. You limit scoring for, but you limit scoring against. And if you control the footy down the ground, you end up with the pieces where you want them.
And you're saying that doesn't work?
It doesn't work in big games. It's never worked in a preliminary final. So my question all the time is, why are you playing this way when you know this doesn't work at the point at the end of the year? It wins a lot of home and away games. And I called him home and away Chris. It was very tense there for a while. But
did he ring you about that?
He did. We spoke about that.
How'd that go?
He's a ripper. He's a ripper. He's prepared to chat about your opinions if you can endorse them in some way, shape or form, which I always do via the numbers. So they're defending now live ball. So the opposition, it's in chaos when you play Geelong now. They're biting off corridor. They're going quickly. They're aggressive. And they're turning the ball over now as more than they've ever done it. But they're able to hold up behind the footy. So it's a different type of defending. There's more risk involved, but as Chris has said countless times this year, we are playing a game that may not even get us to the finals. That's what he said at the start of the year. This may not get us to the finals, but if we get there, we can win it. So it's different to the previous models. And I think that's why you'll like the Champion Data Network.
Hey, just the Collingwood stuff is interesting. Just before we get to our little side bets, what do you? So clearly, De Goey's been a big topic this year. And the Barley thing, he's played one game since then, and it was an ordinary game. Then he got injured. So there's a bit going on externally at Collingwood. Flying on the field have hardly put it wrong, but outside of that, they've got some decisions to make. They've opted not to play Grundy this week, and probably want to get him right. And Craig McRae spoke on Andy and Gazy about how he helps them from their centre bounce perspective. So you think he comes back in the next fortnight? How do they deal with De Goey?
That's a good question. So I think Collingwood are flying. They're winning the ball back between the arcs more than any other team the last 6 weeks. Their pressure is enormous, and it's off the back of those small forwards. We talked about Beau McCreary. We talked about Bianco. We've talked about
Dacos
in that area of the ground. So I wonder if De Goey doesn't buy into that, if he doesn't bring that, does he help your team win games of footy? Like, I know he can kick goals, and I know he's a star factor player and he can go in the midfield and do what he does. No problem. But I'm not leaving McCreary out of that team or Bianco out of that team to bring De Goey in. And that goes against the pay structure.
So hang on. So you're picking Bianco over De Goey?
I'm picking what's best for the team right now because Collingwood as a unit are flying. So if you ask Jordan, are you prepared to do what these guys are doing as a benchmark starting point? And if you're not, well, you don't play for us.
I think it needs to be more than that. You can ask him and he'll tell you what you want to hear. I think you need to see it.
Well, you ask him and then you give him an opportunity.
You need to see it at training, and you probably need to see it in the VFL, don't you?
This is the first time Collingwood have had this luxury for a long time, to be able to select a player on team standards. Normally they just put him back in. He just comes back in. He's fit, he plays. I wouldn't be doing that.
Which is what happened after Barley. 1300 736 736 Pies fans. Does De Goey come straight back in, or do you need to see what Kingy is asking, that defensive, I guess, intent and fitting in with what everyone else is doing?
And who are you leaving out? Give me the name you're leaving out to bring him in. That's what I want. Because I think they're all playing their role.
I've been holding out for this, Kingy.
What are you holding out for?
Well, you said to me you wanted to address Brisbane.
Well, I do. And the more I look at their profile at the moment, and bearing in mind when we spoke to Horney this morning, we're on the premiership runway right now. 6 weeks. 6 weeks to get it right, 5 weeks to go. We're 1 week into that already, and history shows if your game's not in great order, not good order, great order, particularly defensively, then you run out of time. You can't wait for players to catch fire with form. And if you're relying on one or two to come back from injury and absolutely hit the ground running, you're living in a false world. So I look at the Brisbane Lions right now, and I think that their defensive game is shot. And they're just an average defensive team. Average doesn't win your flags. I look at some of their individual talent forward of centre. They've got 3 tall forwards that are struggling for form in that forward line. Hipwood, Danaher, McStay. They're not getting it done. The smalls. What do you do with Cam Rayner? Is he a midfielder or is he a forward?
So what are you telling me?
Zach Bailey.
What are we saying?
Hardly touches the footy at the moment.
What are we saying about Brisbane?
I don't think Brisbane, on current form, something would have to change radically for them to be a contender for me. I think they've fallen out of the premiership contention zone. I don't think they're in the race.
You don't think Brisbane can
I don't think they're in the race. No.
Not even in the race. Not even if they get some continuity of players back.
Yeah, well,
the
COVID challenge is a separate one again, isn't it? The COVID challenge distorts things a little bit, but I don't think their game itself is in good enough order to be beating Geelong come preliminary final week. I don't have them in the race. Do you still have them in the race?
Wow.
I think they've gone win-loss for about 8 weeks.
8 weeks in a row. And so Gold Coast this week, Richmond, Carlton, St Kilda, Melbourne. It's not an easy run home. I feel like that is a good challenge for them. I'd rather have that run home than an easy one, say like a Sydney have got. If they make top 4, they're going to be in good form and they're going to earn it. Do I have full faith in what they're doing and what they've done over the last 2 months? No, I don't. But I don't know who else I've got faith in other than Geelong at the moment. That's the other question. Who do you have faith in? I think Melbourne, I think their game's still going to be okay, but I'm worried about their talent forward of centre and a few of their players that are out of form. So other than Geelong, who actually do you have faith in at the moment? 0433 90 out 11 16. We had a bit of a laugh about the pressure points on the All-Australian team. Positions are relevant because I hear everyone lose their mind when they don't pick wingmen. So I think you have to pick a team in positions. Otherwise, you'd have 18 midfielders, you'd have 1 ruckman, and you have 2 forwards. So I don't think positions are irrelevant. Well, that's the second point to it.
No, I don't think.
Because other's you just pick a list of players.
There's no structure.
Yeah.
You just have the best 22.
I think the philosophy has to be the team, if you're going to play the best, say America had an AFL team, you've got to have a team that can go actually play in positions. Otherwise, you would pick 17 midfielders. So I completely disagree with that. But pressure's building.
So do you agree with the notion that the team should reflect what has been successful in 2022?
Yeah. And that's why a lot of the top teams get more players in it.
Yeah.
That's why North Melbourne and Adelaide will have no one. It's because usually the success of teams is reflected by the individuals picked. Yeah,
and it's harder for say a Sam Taylor to get in the team for GWS than it probably is for one of the gun defenders at fullback. So we accept that every year, but I won't accept that you wouldn't put wingman in because the success of quite a few of our better teams is off the back of wing roles and what they allow. So the fact that they have 18 disposals a week.
Who are your wingmen right now? You got to pick. And it's a question without notice.
I'd have to do some more research to lock them in.
But it's easy to say you got to pick wingmen. But there's not a lot of players in the competition that actually play wing.
What do you mean?
Well, there's not. So who are the best 3 wingmen right now? They got Langdon. Then what?
I wouldn't want to shoot blind here. I'd like to.
So I'm just saying, you could name me 15 midfielders like that.
Yeah,
it's hard to name.
Because they are in the positions they get 30 touches.
Name wingmen that play the role for 90% of the time. They rotate a lot through that position.
I agree with that. But I would prefer to have someone that's played, even if it is only 30% wing for the year. Yeah. To pick a player on the wing that hasn't played wing all year is a nonsense.
All right. Oh, no, I just know you're going to judge me harshly on this. No. The pressure's building.
All we want is reasoning.
That's okay.
Don't just pick the best midfielders in the comp.
Is footy full of nice guys, Kingy? Right, is footy full of nice guys? So players are shaking hands before games.
You're not upset with that.
Everyone's talking up you listen to coaches, they all talk up the opposition, which is fine. John Longmire is the only one currently that is taking something away from the opposition. So I watched Nick Dacos run around and not a scratch on him. I watched Port Adelaide give Cozzy Pickett the most space that has ever been granted to any small forward in the history of the game, even though he kicked 6. Like, it's just extraordinary the amount of space they gave him. Why aren't we niggling and putting pressure on the opposition and targeting the best players off the ball like Longmire is doing? Like, they went after Clark from Fremantle on the weekend. They went after Sinclair. They've gone after Bailey Dale. He's the only one that does it. We're too nice. Is that fair? Frustrates.
Yeah.
Where's the Hayden Ballantines of the world? Who's going to get up in the face of the opposition? There's not many left.
But when they do, we come for them.
No, we don't. We say
Jackie Ginnivan got assaulted by the media for 4
No,
weeks.
that was for carrying on after the game. Not for getting in the face of the opposition. What I say when I see that is like, yeah, that annoys me, but I'd love to play with you.
Yeah.
I'd love to be your teammate.
I might need
Josh Carr, these guys.
I need some help from our text friends this morning. So I'll give you a few wing names, but I want some support.
Okay.
Has Marlion Pickett done enough to be in the discussion?
Well,
I think he'd be right up there in Richmond.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, that's probably.
Has he had a fine season? Yes. Has it been an all-Australian calibre season?
Will it be recognised?
Can you imagine the outrage if Marlion Pickett was an all-Australian over
who?
Just pluck a name, a Took Miller? Because that's what you're asking.
It is what I'm asking.
Yeah,
100%.
And there'll be outrage either way.
Why would there be outrage?
Either way, because my view on it would be that no, I'm not going to give you my view on it. I'm just telling you that there'll be outrage behind whatever decision you make.
No one's answering any questions in here. Steel side bottom, Josh Dacos.
Yeah.
Marlion Pickett for me would be the front
So
runners.
then you are saying, okay, well they're in front of Sam Walsh, or they're in front of.
Well, Sam Walsh is playing
Petrarca.
half forward midfield now, so he goes into that bracket. So he's one you could put on a half forward flank because he's playing there.
But then you'll whinge and say, you've got midfielders playing half forward.
What if they've played there?
I'm okay for the debate. I'm just saying that you can't win the debate.
No, I think you're feeling the heat.
Who wins tonight and why? I think I read a stat. Richmond are 3-9. Their last sort of 12 at Marvel. It's not a great record.
Just for those who are just joining in the conversation this morning, I'm introducing Kane to some of the Champion Data products. Now that he's on board, he's seen the light.
I've always been on board.
He's had a toe in the water there for a while. Now he's invested. Hey, the best kicks in the comp. It's always a good discussion.
I chatted to this with Edmund yesterday. Now, without looking at those data,
Give me.
I said Bailey Dale was the best kick in the comp.
Bailey Dale. He's about 10th.
Okay.
Number 1, Caleb Daniel.
All right.
Number 2, the halfback from Essendon, Nick Hine.
Is he really?
Yeah. Number 3, Daniel Rich, and then Mitch Duncan. We go the other end of the scale. So you have to have more than 10 kicks a week. So minimum 180 kicks. The poorest kick in the comp?
Can I?
Oh.
It would be a midfielder.
Yeah, up at the Suns.
Is it Ollie Wines? Oh.
Don't upset anyone you don't have to.
Okay, sorry.
Don't throw up names.
Okay.
David Swallow.
Okay.
Jai Simpkin. Lockie Neal.
Lockie Neal.
3.6% below expectation, which is done over a 10-year period. So every kick has a rating attached to it. You should hit this kick 7 out of 10 times. And when you miss, you lose rating points. And if you hit soft targets, you don't elevate much.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's about the level of kick.
Yeah, it's above and below expectation
So
of the kick.
we'll introduce you some Champion Data products.
Some of the products.
Yeah.
This season, your best clubman is your local owner-operator from Tyre Power, your trusted tyre experts. Do you agree that this game has a lot riding on it tonight?
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to seeing Fremantle get to that game and have a look because their ability to defend the opposition has changed over the last 6 weeks. So I want to see if they can get their absolute best back in the next 3 to 4 weeks to see whether they are a genuine contender or have they just had a great first 12 weeks of the season and are building for next year and beyond. Are they a realistic challenger right now is what I want to know.
Yeah.